Hi, welcome to another episode of Simply Sauce with Chef Mel. So today I'm making a dish that, I really didn't grow up on this one. It's an arancini is the dish. And so basically people have called it risotto balls or rice balls. I am using risotto and it's a really delicious little appetizer. I've seen it done many ways. You can put just about anything in it, but I'm gonna make it real simple today. It's gonna have the risotto, it's gonna have cheese, it's gonna have garlic and some seasonings, and then we're gonna roll it in a breadcrumb mixture and deep fry it. I don't do a lot of deep frying either, but this one is not one that you don't wanna change it up. I don't wanna try to broil it because I don't think it would stand as well. So, we're about to get started. So I like to use gloves on this only for one reason, because it is a sticky mess. So I've got the risotto and I pretty much cooked it like rice. Anybody that knows anything about risotto knows it's time consuming. It's not so labor intensive, but it's time consuming to make. So with this, you can use water, you can use a chicken broth, and you can pretty much do it however you want. But as you can see, it just looks like rice. Now, I'm gonna add some olive oil, and this recipe will be on chefmelsauces.com, so you guys can pull that up, check it out for yourselves. This is garlic, and I like a minced garlic fresh. So much more flavorful than the stuff you can get in a jar. All right, and then eggs, okay? Gonna have about 4 eggs in here. No shells. You don't want anybody getting that shell. All right, so that's that. So I'm gonna start by just kind of mixing it with my spatula so I know I have a good consistency. And I like these so much. I actually was just introduced to these a few years ago in San Francisco, and they were so good. I probably would like to make these as much as I like to make my homemade meatballs. That'll be another episode. But these are delish. All right, so we're getting real good and coated with the egg. Then we're gonna add the seasonings. So I've got black pepper, I've got some salt, and then one of my personal favorites is ground fennel. I love fennel. Some people don't like fennel because they don't like the seeds. But if you have ground fennel, you've got that great fennel flavor. And that's one of the big ingredients used in Italian sausage, or salsiccia. All right, so I've got that. We'll mix that in. I love my big stainless steel bowls. All right, ooh, that smells so good. And then Parmesan cheese. So I'm using a shaved Parmesan cheese. You can use grated, you can use shredded. Whatever is your preference. Calls for, I don't know, a cup or so on the recipe. You can add a little extra. It's not gonna harm it to have a little extra cheese. So the consistency you want is kind of like when you make a meatball, if you make meatballs. And if you don't, then just watch here and I'll show you how it's done. So we're gonna check the consistency first. So you're gonna grab a little bit here. And we want to make these about golf ball size. I mean, you can always go bigger, but since it's an appetizer, I like to make them about the size of a golf ball. So you kind of want to squeeze together. And if it feels like it's tightening up, then you're good. And it feels like it's a little bit loose, which this is kind of a little bit loose. So I'm going to go ahead and add 1 more egg. That's why I keep the extra eggs. Okay. And now I'm just gonna get in there with my hands. So the longest part, and you can be doing other things while you're making the risotto, but the risotto does take about 20-25 minutes to make. And then you have to cool it. So it's one of those things where, if you're making it for an appetizer, there's other things you can be prepping or making or boiling pasta or whatever you want to serve this with, which Arancini is gonna go with anything. This is something that I like to do. It's because I love cheese. You take a little bit of this mozzarella. I use a buffalo mozzarella and just kind of cube it and put it right in there in the meatball like that. And then you close it back up, kind of roll it around again. All right. And I'm just gonna set this to the side. So I'm gonna keep going until all of these are made. And I'm curious how many people have had these or how many people would be interested in making them. So, simplifying things is my thing. This is pretty simple. I will admit it's a little bit more time consuming, a little bit labor intensive, but again, it's worth it. Totally worth it. All right, so I'm just gonna roll some of these up and I'll keep doing that and we'll be right back. All right, so I went ahead and rolled up these arancinis into balls. And one of the things that's really important is to put that mozzarella in the ball. So the next step is to take these, and actually I think I'll use this. We're gonna roll this in egg. So I just took a couple of eggs, scrambled them up, okay? Then we're gonna roll in the breadcrumbs. And all this is breadcrumbs. I didn't add anything else, just the breadcrumbs. And I got the oil nice and hot. And we're just gonna drop that in. Oh yeah. So people ask me a lot, how I became Chefmel. So to tell you how I came about this sauce is my Nana, my grandmother, she made a really good sauce. And she made it, old school Italian, like a ragu. And, oh, that was fast. It was a little too hot. We're gonna turn that puppy down. All right, if you're Italian, if you know anything about Italian cooking, it takes all day long. You cook the sauce and it's wonderful. It's absolutely delicious. I was looking for something a little bit simpler. I had a baby at the time and I didn't want to put as much effort into that. Not that I'm lazy, but I didn't have the time. So I learned from her, and the reason was because I couldn't find any red sauces that I liked. And I discovered that I wasn't as big of a fan of oregano. So with that in mind, of course, she thought I knew that. And I said, well, what about the oregano? And she said, oh, we don't like oregano. Most Sicilians don't like oregano. I said, well, I had no idea. So I started making the sauce like hers, but I just kind of wanted something a little bit sweeter. Something a little bit, I don't know, since I didn't have the meat and everything in it like she did, I decided to add a little bit of sugar and finish it off with some red wine. And I used basil and garlic and, other good things. All right, so the first one is like the first pancake. This one's not turning out so good. We're gonna set this to the side. That got a little burnt. So I started making this sauce and I took it to work for a potluck because working in the hospital, I was working as a physical therapist assistant, and we had potluck for everything. So once I brought it, that's the only thing I ever brought again because they would sign me up for that. And then I kind of became the sauce lady at the hospital, and I was making this stuff all the time and selling it out. And so I finally took the leap of faith and went to mass production. And I did that in 2008, so 15 years. So it's taken a long time to get it into stores and get it to be, well known, and some of you may have never heard of it. That's a little bit like the first pancake too. I've turned the heat down now. Oh yeah, that's much better. So what I did was, this is olive oil. It's a couple inches thick. So you get it almost covered, but not quite. Anyhow, so I think I told you the story. That's the story about my sauce. I went to mass production. Now I'm in grocery stores. I'm in Missouri and Illinois and getting ready to venture out into some more states and come up with some more lines. We're working on a couple in manufacturing right now. So hopefully those will be announced soon. And who knows? You might be hearing more about Chefmel's sauce, but I will tell you that this sauce is a rock solid sauce that you can use for so many things, which we'll be using in dishes during the show. And these arancinis, we will be using Chefmel's for the dipping sauce for this. All right, so I'm gonna keep working on these, and then we're gonna work on a salad that we're gonna pair up with it. So stick around, we'll be right back. All right, so these arancinis are looking really good now.